So I've already got a melody that I created the other day, and here it is. All right. Okay. Now I've got everything consolidated. I don't want to make one of these hi-hats like have a weird timing. I did this on an industrial beat recently, um, where I made one of the main hi-hats just have like just a weird, strange timing, but like it kind of worked out. So let's see if I can find something that's a little bit different than what you would normally get. So let's try this first. No, I think that's good. That's a good bounce. Okay, so the drive, this will be a secondary snare. So I'm gonna layer these guys. Anytime you're layering sounds, you want to check the polarity, because sometimes if you just change the polarity of one of them, it'll make the sound way beefier and way louder. And the reason for that is because when you have sound waves that are traveling like opposite each other and they are played at the same time, they tend to cancel each other out and make things quieter. So, which is weird because you'd think that layering sounds, it's going to become louder. Well, you can actually layer sounds and make it quieter. So you should always check the polarity if you're layering sounds. I don't normally do this, but the timing for this secondary snare is different on each half. So normally what I would do is just copy the timing, and so it would be right here. But I didn't do that. I moved it up and changed the timing, and I actually kind of like it in this case. So we can do like a little... Ooh, that's kind of good. So it's like a little bit busier at the first half of each phrase than it is in the second half, which is interesting. Because normally I do the opposite. Normally I make things busier at the end. Because like oftentimes in rap beats and stuff that you hear nowadays, you'll hear like that snare build up and all that stuff happen at the very end before, something else hits and something else comes in. In this case, it's like the opposite. I basically pan everything that's not a primary snare or clap or kick or 808 or a primary hi-hat. I did, however, pan the heartbeat monitor sound that I've got going. So it's going left to right. Sound effect is also being panned left to right. This drive snare, which I said I was going to use as a secondary snare, is being panned left to right. So like everything that's not a main thing is being panned left to right. So if we go to one of my layers for my main snare, everything that's hitting on the 3, like the main snares, those are all centered. They're not being panned at all. But the stuff that I've got going in between, I've got panned. So, and the same thing goes for my rim that I'm pairing with that. So everything that's on the main 3, like the main hit, that's staying in the center. And then everything else is being panned out to the sides. And then if you look at my main hi-hat, everything's in the center. If I was doing some rolls with this, I would probably pan things left to right with the roll. But otherwise, I mostly keep it in the center. Sometimes, I might pan a few notes here and there if I'm getting a little different with those. But for the most part, it's going to stay in the center. And then with my open hat, I've got that panned. So basically everything's panned if it can be, if it's not like a main or major, element. Okay, I think I'm ready for my kick and 808. Okay, I think I've done this before in the past. I think I want to use 2 different 808s. I'll probably pair like a Zay 808, which is short and thumpy, with a longer, like more spinsy or distorted sounding 808. Use this one. Five for the group. So let me find a Zay, and I'll put the Zay also on 5 so that the 2 808s cut each other out. So when one starts, the other one cuts off, basically. So they're not going to overlap and sound muddy and like horribly distorted, hopefully. Let's put everything on the mixer channel. But I guess since I have this, I can go ahead and go over what's going to be on my mixer channel. So I've got EQ, cutting the lows, and then I also sometimes, cut and boost things a little bit where they're needed. Is that where it was? Is that on 0? Okay. And then I've got a soft clipper to make sure we stay at 0, another EQ to do the same thing as before, finalizer, which is an EQ and multiband compressor, a couple of multiband compressors. I've got 2 because I use like the middle band in slightly different places, so it's kind of like I have 4 bands in a way. And then another EQ, just a monitor, and then a limiter or a soft clipper. It doesn't really matter. Okay, so here's my chain for my hats. A little bit of and my chain for basically all my drums is going to be similar, or if not exactly the same. The only difference being maybe the EQ and the settings on the limiter or compressor. But for the EQ on this one, I'm just cutting out the lows basically. And then I may, cut some frequencies if something sounds too harsh, but right now it doesn't. So. And everything that's not the main thing, I want to separate and push out to the sides. So these 2 I'll leave where they are, I think. I think I'm going to go through and do my multi-band compression now. So the way that I'm going to do that is I'm looking at the EQ for everything right now. And I'm looking for things that get too loud at certain points, and I'm going to compress those frequencies ever so slightly as they get, to those louder points. I'm also looking for places that, like frequencies that I could boost a little bit because I'm kind of lacking. So one thing I notice is, like right in this range, at certain times I'm kind of lacking a little bit, so I may boost this a little bit. I may also boost the very top end just a little bit. So let's do that really quickly. I may use this one to just really compress the highs. And aside from arranging it, I think that's basically it. So let's listen to it from the top.